Woman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Guess what is back, guys? The NFL. The NFL is back. Always a favorite time of the year for me, probably for a lot of you as well. I'll be looking at every team and grading their offseason, some key additions, key losses, strength of schedule, and their draft. A lot went on this offseason. Probably one of the busier offseasons that I can remember, at least for big player moves, obviously some big contracts that ran down. I'll be going all over those as well through the teams individually. I'll also provide you guys with a few future bets, some free future bets. I'll be going over for you for this season. I already sent some future bets already out to clients. So clients have received my future bets already. Head over to my website to sign up today. Become a client and start profiting long-term in all sports. If you guys know, most of you guys do know, any new viewers, I currently handicapping anywhere from 5 to 7 sports. Right now it's just the NFL, PGA, UFC, MLB playoffs, World Cups in a few months, NHL's in a few months. I do boxing once in a while as well. And of course NBA, NHL is back in October. So it's going to be busy time. I love September. Very busy with a lot of studying for the NFL, along with the PGA and UFC, and everything comes in October and November. Systemsportscapping.com is the website. Subscription opportunities there, free picks, records on all sports, resume and client comments over the years. Also, System Capping on all social media platforms, guys. Give me a follow there. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok even. Give me a follow over there. Tons of sports betting news, sports betting information, just sports information in general in my stories, and also free picks as well. Recap from last year. Let's do a recap from last year, of course. It was a great season for clients and video viewers. Plus 43 point units, all bets, guys. Okay? So that's futures, spreads, totals, and prop bets as well. We hit on the Rams, plus 1,200 at the start of the year. I usually bet anywhere from 2 to 4 outrights to start the year. Rams were one of them. A few favorites, and then a couple long shots, right? 7-0 on other future bets. 6-0 in season win totals. Those are already sent out to clients. Ended the year on a 48-22 run. That's 69%, guys. Playoffs, 22-9. Big playoffs for myself and clients, 71%, and 2-0 in the Super Bowl. That's 2-0 in the Super Bowl for total and spread. We were on the Rams, of course. Free play underdogs plus money, 13-3. That's a wild record for underdogs, guys. 81%. I'm not expecting that again, but great at picking underdogs throughout the year. Very hard to duplicate that percentage, though. The only up and down that I had all year probably was teasers. Props were good, 62-63% in prop market. Teasers up and down. Didn't have the best teaser year, but I don't focus too much on those. I've entered the Circa Millions and a Survivor at Circa contest once again. Survivor contest, we put a bunch of tickets in this year for Survivor. Obviously working with a client there that's over in Vegas. So I'll keep you guys updated on that all year. Also entered a few smaller tournaments around Vegas. So I'll be going over that and just keep you guys updated. Let's get into the off-season grades for each team, guys. I'm going to go over each team. This is going to be a little longer video than normal. I'll be kind of just going in alphabetical order here, not by division. Let's start it out, guys. Arizona Cardinals. Yes, the Arizona Cardinals, they are at the top of the alphabetical order here, and we will start with the grade. I give them a C. I give them a C on their offseason. Last year, they were 11-6. Remember, good season last year, 11-6. Strength of schedule this year, 24th easiest. 24th easiest. Right, so that's that's the 8th hardest, if I can recall from my heart. So not an easy schedule this year, guys. Traded for Hollywood Brown. Remember that they traded their first round pick to Baltimore for Hollywood Brown. Win for Baltimore. Not super high on Hollywood Brown. He's just more of a one-dimensional guy. He's a burner, right? He can get you a touchdown. He can beat a guy one-on-one. But problem is, he's about 170 pounds and he just doesn't stay healthy. I don't love the trade. I think Baltimore won the trade. Baltimore ended up getting the center in that trade, which they badly needed. They lost Kirk, Christian Kirk. Obviously, that's why they needed. They felt like they needed a wide receiver, so they got Brown. Kirk Brown. I don't know if it's an upgrade, to be honest. Kirk, I thought, was maybe more. He was able to play slot. He was able to catch longer balls. It's not a huge upgrade at all. And then Chandler Jones, right? That's a big loss for them, losing a guy like Chandler Jones. Just the leadership he brings, a veteran presence on that defensive side of the ball. Draft, below average. I have them in their draft around a C minus. Hopkins suspended for at least 6 games due to PDs. So remember that, guys. Hopkins is not playing for at least 6 games. So that's going to affect their win total here. Conclusion on them. I have this team definitely not winning 11 games. I have them maybe struggling to make the playoffs. Maybe they'll sneak into a wild card spot. They obviously do still have some weapons. Obviously Murray. They have a offense that can put up points. Defense is always going to be a question. I think losing Jones is going to be tough. Uncertainty with Hopkins. And maybe they sneak into a wild card spot. I'm just not a high on them this year. I could see 9-10 wins, yes. But that strength of schedule is going to come into play here at 24th easiest. It's not going to be an easy schedule for Arizona. I think they take a little bit of a step back this year. I'm not super high on them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak in and get a wild card spot. They're definitely not going to win the division. Atlanta Falcons. Oh boy, to be an Atlanta Falcons fan. Hopefully you guys aren't. I give them a D last year. 7-10 last year. 7-10 last year. Surprised they won 7, to be honest. Strength of schedule, 23rd easiest. So again, not an easy schedule, right? Below average there. So losing the main issue, obviously, they lost Matt Ryan, right? Losing a starting QB is the main reason for this grade. You lose your franchise quarterback. You also have Calvin Ridley suspended all year. Obviously, Julio Jones was gone a few years ago, but you're rebuilding in Atlanta. There's no secret there, right? And losing Matt Ryan, your starting quarterback, it's rebuild mode now, right, for this Falcons team. Draft was average. I have them around a C for the draft. Not great first few days. However, they got depth later in the draft. Just a conclusion on this team. It's a team that I'm going to be looking to bet against all year. I'm going to be looking to bet unders for this team. I don't think they're going to be putting up a lot of points. Team total under. Their games, you're going to be able to score on Atlanta. So I'll be looking at their team totals under. Just looking to bet against them against the spread all year. Just not a team I'm high on. They're definitely not going to get 7 wins. I can tell you that much. I see maybe 4 wins, something along those lines. Maybe they get a few wins at home. But definitely not high on this Atlanta team. I have them towards the bottom of the league this year. Baltimore Ravens, yes, if you guys aren't familiar, this is my team. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan since I was probably, 12 years old. So I'm in my mid-30s now. So definitely been a long-time Baltimore Ravens fan. Yeah, I have them at a B+. B+ offseason. B+, A- offseason. They addressed the wide receiver a little late. I'll go over that in a minute. So I'm going to stay with the B+. Last year, 8-9, missed the playoffs, obviously due to the injuries and losing Lamar. Strength of schedule, 11th easiest. So good schedule for the Ravens. Surprising year for the Ravens last year, right? But it was due to the injuries, if you guys are unaware. A lot of injuries on defense. They obviously had Lamar Jackson. They started good too, right? They started well. 8-4, I think. No, yeah, they lost 6 or 7 in a row to end the year. So keep that in mind, guys. Close games, too. 2019, overtime games, 31-30 to Green Bay. They weren't getting blown out, and they were using a backup quarterback. Remember that, guys. Lamar was out. I'm pretty sure he missed the last 6 games. Okay? Lamar looks good this year. He put on the weight. Looks big, 12 to 15 pounds of muscle. Really wants that contract, and hopefully he does get it before the season starts. Wide receiver core also was hurt last year. Obviously, they lost their running back, their starting running back, in J.K. Dobbins. So just a lot of issues there, but they're healthy going to this season. They signed Marcus Williams. They needed a safety. And they got one of the best guys in the market. Marcus Williams from New Orleans, one of the best free agency signings in all of the NFL. This season, they brought back Peters. This was probably going to be one of the best secondaries in the league, guys. One of the best secondaries in the leagues, no doubt. Only key loss was Hollywood Brown, and it's not a huge loss in my opinion. He couldn't stay really on the field. They brought in a wide receiver finally in Demarcus Robinson. I like him. I like the Demarcus Robinson. Obviously, Bateman is going to be their number one guy. Can he be their number one guy is going to be the question here. This year, he has to prove it, right? He has to prove it. They have Mark Andrews, guys. He's more of the number one target, the number one wide receiver. He's a tight end. He was great last year, and he's going to continue to be great. This year, I expect, Lamar Jackson to have a big year as well. As I mentioned earlier, he has put the work in. He's put the work in to have one. Another stellar draft, like always, right? The Baltimore continues to draft well. It seems like they're always in the top 5 drafts every year. I give them an A- this year in their draft, just because maybe it could have been an A, but they didn't get a wide receiver, and that's something they needed, in my opinion. So I give them an A-, but they got their center. They traded out Brown to get their center. They needed a center badly. They got him. He looks great in preseason. Lindelbaum. And they obviously got a value guy with Hamilton. Ravens were drafted 15, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, and he was supposed to be a top 5 guy. They got Hamilton at the 15th pick. So tons of value there, and you're pairing him up with Williams, and then Chuck Clark will come in off the bench or in certain packages. It's going to be the best safety duel in the league if Hamilton pans out, of course, but the secondary in general is very, very good. This defense is really good, guys. If they continue to run the ball well, this team's going to be very difficult to beat. I like the Ravens to get back into the playoffs this year if they can stay healthy, of course, right? And maybe make a bigger run. I see 10-11 wins for this team, and maybe even steal the division from the Bengals. Bengals we'll be talking about a little later, but they got a tough schedule. I don't think maybe as good as last year. We will have to see. Buffalo Bills A. I give them an A. Last year, 11-6. They won the AFC East, guys. They won the AFC East. We were heavy on them last year in the future market. Strength of schedule, 18th easiest. Not the easiest schedule, above average. So we'll see how that pans out. But, I have Buffalo Bills as one of the best teams. They are favored to win the Super Bowl. And they added some good pieces. They added some guys they kind of needed. A veteran on the defense with Von Miller. Right? Big signing. Even though he may not be at his best in his career right now, it's a good signing for them. They needed an edge and a guy that can get to the quarterback, disrupt, but more of the veteran experience. And they added a good target for Allen. What not a lot of people are talking about, Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder is a guy they needed in the slot. He can play out as well, but it's a piece that they can add as a possession receiver, which I like. No big losses. They lost Levi Wallace. Jerry Hughes are the 2 noticeables. Veteran guys, so they are somewhat noticeable there. I could see Allen winning an MVP season. I can see him having an MVP season here, winning that MVP. I wouldn't be surprised. Bills winning the division once again. This is probably going to happen. Miami will give them a push, I think. New England obviously always around, but I see between the Bills and Miami this year. Bills are on a bet-on team this year. Guys, I'll be over them in team totals over. Obviously looking at spreads. Obviously that Rams game on Thursday is tough, flip of a coin type game. I'll be staying away from that, but I'll be looking to bet the Bills, the game's over as well throughout the year. Draft, the draft was solid. I give them a B. They did get help in the cornerback department, which they did need with Elam. They drafted Elam first overall, and also got some help in the later rounds with linebacker in Bernard. So that's a look there. Conclusion, I'm high on the Bills team. I expect them to win 10 plus again and make a run in the playoffs and possibly go to the Super Bowl. They're due to go to the Super Bowl, guys. And I think if they run into teams like KC, there are some sneaky teams that can get there. Chargers, Denver, Baltimore off the top of my head, even maybe Bengals. But I think this could be Buffalo Bills' year. Carolina Panthers. Yes, of course, they got the quarterback now with Baker Mayfield, but, we can't count on that guy. I give him a C. Last year, 5-12. Strength of schedule this year, 14th easy, so about in the middle. I don't mind the Baker Mayfield signing. It's an upgrade, I guess. It's a little bit of an upgrade over Darnold. We're going to have to wait and see. But I do think it's an upgrade. For them. Is there anyone to throw the ball to? They didn't make any key additions or anything like that, right? So, I do think this team's going to have another down year, probably miss the playoffs. I think they get more than 5 wins. They have a solid defense. Their defense was pretty solid, but they did have some key losses on defense with Hassan Reddick and Gilmore. I can see them winning maybe 6-7 games. Six games, I would say. They didn't bring any big names or any help for Baker. Defense is decent, like I mentioned, but I think you can steal a few games at home. But I'll be looking to bet against the Panthers this year for the most part. Team totals under as well. Draft was pretty solid. They did have a pretty good draft. I have it about a B plus. They got a left tackle at number 6 and some value later in the draft. So I do think that O-line will help Baker. But conclusion, missed the playoffs. Most likely last again in this division, and it's a team that I'll be betting against all year. Chicago Bears, D for the Chicago Bears. Last year, 6-11. Strength of schedule, 4th easy is something to keep in mind, but I don't see them winning more than 6 games, even if they do have a strength of schedule. 4th, they lost some big names, right? They lost Khalil Mack. They lost Allen Robinson. That's their top guys on offense and defense, right? Should be a tough year for Fields, but he can maybe grow. From this. They'll have a ton of cap space next year, and I expect this team to slowly get better year after year. Not a ton of weapons for Fields. They're going to have problems scoring points. They brought in Harry, which is a decent signing from New England, but no studs on offense. No guy that can make that big play. Obviously, they have the Montgomery at running back, but they're going to be behind in games, so I don't know how much they're going to be able to use him. Draft, I give him a C. No first-round pick for a team that badly needed one. They drafted a few O-line guys and wide receiver help that will help them, hopefully. That seemed like some good depth and good picks later in the draft. Conclusion, bet against team all year. I'll be betting team totals under. And like I said, I see 4 or 5 wins for this team. Cincinnati Bengals, B+. B+ last year, 10-7. Winner of the AFC North, which was surprising. This Bengals team was surprising overall, right? Strength of schedule, 26 easiest. They have a tough strength of schedule this year, guys. That's something to keep in mind. They were the big surprise last year, right? No one had them going to the AFC. No one, maybe winning the AFC North, that's obviously surprising, but making it to the Super Bowl, no one had that. Burrows was the real deal, right? Him pairing with Chase was top-notch. Their offense is very good. They have a running back. Tight end questionable, but they have 3 good wide receivers. Very dangerous on offense. The question always is, how is their defense going to look, right? How's their defense going to look? They got Bates back. They franchise tag him. That will help. Their secondary is an issue. Their O-line was an issue last year, but didn't really affect them in the playoffs. But they addressed it. They addressed on the offseason the O-line. They didn't get any huge names, but they got some depth. They got some guys that could start for them. A draft B, they addressed their defense, which was needed in the secondary. No O-line help, but they did get it in free agency. Conclusion, I expect this team to be good once again, run to the Super Bowl. Probably not, but I do think they win maybe 9 or 10 games, and they'll be fighting for the AFC title with Baltimore, in my opinion. No big names in the free agency. I think their cap's an issue. But they're a bet on team, especially at home, and over. I'll be looking to bet the over on their games and team totals all year. Cleveland Browns, D for the Cleveland Browns. Last year 8-9, strength of schedule 8th easiest. So I could see them in that range again, but we know what the issue is going to be, QB, right? Browns just continue to be the Browns. A dreadful organization. I wouldn't be surprised if Watson never plays again for them at all. Right, the suspension got moved and it got added, so he'll probably come back at the later end of the season. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's something else that comes up. What did they do? They added Amari Cooper, which is nice, but can he stay on the field? I don't love this signing. Landry was a big loss for them. He fit the offense well, so I guess Cooper for Landry, they somewhat replaced him. Different style wide receivers, but they did replace. And obviously they signed Watson, but he's not going to be playing much, right? They lost Baker. The defense should be solid. I think their defense is pretty good, and it should win them a few games. Draft terrible. Draft terrible. I give it a D. No first round pick because of the Watson trade. Nothing special in the other picks, and they had some reaches as well. So a D for their draft. Conclusion, this team will miss the playoffs once again, in my opinion. Watson won't be back in time to make a huge impact. They're a bet against team for me this year. Like I said, last year they won 8. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 8 again, around that range. The strength of schedule may help them a bit, but like I said, no quarterback. Can Cooper stay on the field? Their defense is good, and I think it could win them some games, but will it be good enough? We'll see. Dallas Cowboys, D+, mainly due to, they didn't make any splashes, obviously due to their cap issues like they seem like they have every year. Last year, 12-5, strength of schedule, 10th easiest, so that's something to keep in mind here. They didn't do anything besides lose Amari Cooper and Randy Gregory. You can say they signed Dante Fowler, but that was their biggest splash. Salary cap issues was the reason for this, like I mentioned. I'm worried about Elliott. He's been looking to decline. He's been declining, in my opinion. Losing a weapon like Cooper isn't a good thing. I don't see 12 wins again for this team. I don't see 12. I can see 10, maybe 11, due to the strength of schedule. They should make the playoffs, and they have a good chance, obviously, to win the division. I think the Eagles got better, so I think the Eagles will be battling with the Cowboys in this division. Draft was pretty decent, B+. They got O-line help, which was needed in some of the depth in the later picks. Conclusion, this team will put up points again, but can they stay healthy? Can they keep Dak clean all year? This defense will be a big question for a playoff run. Over in totals will be a look for me on this team. I'll look to back Dallas at home as well on spreads, but over in their games will be definitely a look all year. Denver Broncos, guys. Denver Broncos, A. I give them an A. Last year, 7-10. Strength of schedule this year, 17th easiest, so not the greatest. When you get a franchise quarterback, though, you sign him long-term, I got to give you an A. You got a quarterback that they badly needed. They haven't had a quarterback since Manning, and they got Russell Wilson. So definitely big ups to them. They also got Randy Gregory from Dallas. That should help. The O-line will be a question since they didn't address it too much in the draft, and that's why I get him a C+ in the draft. Losing Noah Fant's going to be an issue as well. However, they did draft a tight end early to hopefully help there. I love Williams at running back. I love this offense. I love this Denver offense. The question is going to be, can they improve that defense? Their secondary is good. I like Surtain, but the issue is running the ball. Running the ball against them. They're terrible against the run, and they didn't really address it. So We're going to see how they do against a run, but the way to beat the Broncos is run against them. Definitely run against them, and their defense is going to be their key to make a run in tough division, right? KC, LA Chargers got better. It's going to be tough to get in the playoffs for Denver, but win total 9.5. I think maybe they could win 10 games, but everything's going to have to come together for them. Detroit Lions, C. Last year 3-13 strength of schedule, fifth easiest strength schedule. They got Hutchinson in the draft, which was a win for them, and they moved up to get the best wide receiver, some would say, in the draft. Not many big moves. They added DJ Clark and Mike Hughes, which is some good depth, but they lost Trey Flowers and Jalen Reeves. Draft was a B+ for me overall. Conclusion, I expect them to win more than 3 games, guys. I expect them to win more than 3 games, but not many more. I have them maybe around 5. A few years away from this team maybe being decent if Goff could play well or they find a quarterback. But this team will probably be good in a few years. They're going to continue to get high draft picks, continue to get young guys, maybe make a splash in free agency when they can. But I definitely have them winning more than 3 from last year, but not much more, maybe a game or 2. We'll see how Goff plays. Green Bay Packers, C+. C+ last year, 13-4. Strength of schedule this year, 15th easiest, about in the middle. Losing Adams was tough, obviously. Losing your best wide receiver, especially with the connection he had with Rodgers. They lost also Zadarius Smith. He's gone, which is a blow, even though he wasn't playing much last year. They added Sammy Watkins and Jaron Reed as notable signings. I don't mind that. Draft was good, but not great, as they didn't get a top wide receiver due to them being off the board. They did get a steal on one in the second round with Watson. Defense is an upgrade. It could be better, though, the offseason. They upgraded it a bit, though, the defense. I do think this defense could be solid for them this year. Conclusion, I do think they take a bit of a downgrade, not get 13 wins, maybe 11. I see them in that range. I do think they should win the division again. They don't have a very tough division. How will Rodgers look also without Adams? Some questions at wide receiver, so that will be interesting. Houston Texans, C+, last year 4-13, strength of schedule, 28th easiest. So tough schedule for these guys. Rebuild mode too, right? 5 players drafted in the top 75 picks. They will get better over the years, but not this year. Coach Lovie Smith, new coach there. Signed Steve Nelson and Rasheem Green. No big names there. Big plus in 2023, the salary cap is huge with $45 million plus, guys. I expect this team to get better over the years, but it's not going to be good this year. I wouldn't be surprised 3-4 wins again. Sounds about right to me. Conclusion, bet against the Houston Texans this year. Under and team totals will be a look for me as well. Indianapolis Colts, B. I give them a B+. Last year, 9-8. Strength of schedule, 3rd easiest. That's key, guys. 3rd easiest this year. And they got their quarterback. Traded for Matt Ryan. Big upgrade over Wentz. A much-needed QB signing, which could be huge for this team. Added some edge help with Yannick Ngakoue from Jacksonville. Lost Wentz, which is a good thing. They did lose Rock Yassin. I liked him, but not a huge loss. Draft was solid. They got some help from Matt Ryan early and well-rounded draft. Conclusion, I expect this team to be fighting for the division with the Titans, and I do think the Colts win the division. Titans, I do think, take a step down. Likely win probably 10-plus games this year, guys. I have them around 10-11 wins this year, and if they can stay healthy, they got a quarterback now. They got a number 1 wide receiver, in my opinion, Pittman. They have the best running back in the league. If that defense plays well, their O-line is really good. That defensive line is solid with the Colts. I expect this team to do well if they can stay healthy and maybe make a little noise in the playoffs. Look out for the Colts this year, guys. Jacksonville Jaguars, B. Last year, 3-14. Strength of schedule, 12th easiest. Jaguars were busy, and rightly so. They need to be every year. And they added guys like Christian Kirk from Arizona, Lucan, Brandon Scherff, Sharif, Duris, and they also added Darius Williams and Evan Ingram. So, they added some pieces, a few new targets for Lawrence. Draft wasn't great, though, for Lawrence. Not much help for him, but they improved the defense, so that's good news. Conclusion, I expect this team to be a bit better than last year. Definitely more wins than 3. I have them at maybe 5, I would say maybe, around that range. Don't see them going over their team total of 6.5, but 5 does sound about right. Definitely not going to make the playoffs, but they're getting better. I do expect them to be better this year, and in a few years we can see this team making a playoff push. Kansas City Chiefs, I give them a C. Last year, 12-5, won the West. Strength of schedule, hardest schedule, guys. Keep that in mind. An interesting offseason for KC, losing Hill, of course, via trade, and also Tyrann Mathieu, Ward, and Jaron Reed. 4 good players they lost. Keep that in mind. Now, they recovered decently by adding Juju Smith-Schuster, and Scantling from Green Bay. And they also signed Justin Reed. So they did make some signings. They didn't totally, lose their team. Hill will be a big loss, though, right? How the team identity was around him, his speed, his coverage. You had to double him sometimes. It's going to look different, this offense. So I do think Kansas City takes a step back. They did have a good draft, though. I give them an A. In their draft. So, overall, they got a top quarterback, and they got a D-line late in round 1. KC definitely bolstered their D in the draft, which I like. Top cornerback, like I mentioned. Conclusion, tough call to say they'll be 12 or better. I have them they could win 12 again, don't get me wrong. Tough division, though. Chargers got better. Denver got better. I can see them winning maybe 10 or 11 games and battling with Denver and LA to win this division due to the hardest schedule. Keep that in mind. But, I don't think Kansas City is going to miss the playoffs or anything like that. I do think they get in either by winning the division or a wild card spot. But this team's going to look a little different on offense. Las Vegas Raiders B+. Last year, 10-7. Strength of schedule, 30th easiest. So tough schedule, guys. I definitely won't be worried about this offense. Right? We're not going to be worried about that. Traded for Adams to pair up with Carr. They should have a big season together. They did also add Chandler Jones, which is huge for that defense. Secondary concerns, all right, and linebacker. That's always my concerns with them. You can throw on this team. And the draft wasn't busy for them as they only had 2 selections in the top 162 picks. So I don't give them a good draft. Conclusion, I expect another 10 wins plus. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to win over 10 due to that tough schedule, and their defense really wasn't addressed. They're going to put up points. This team, I'm going to bet team total over a ton. Their games to go over as well. And pick spots with them, especially at home. But, this is the team that I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs due to that defense and the schedule. But I do think they're going to be right there, and if they do, it's going to be due to a wild card spot. LA Chargers, I like this team this year. A, I give them due to the offseason last year. 9-8 last year, strength of schedule, 20th easiest. So I'm going to keep in mind. This team seemed to go all in, and mainly on defense, adding Kalea Mack and J.C. Jackson. Big signings, splash signings for this defense, which was terrible last year, 26 overall compared to a top 5 offense, right? You got to have some balance there if you want to make a run in the playoffs. Or a good season. No huge losses for them. I expect this team to just only get better and improve from the 9 wins. The defense was their downfall, like I mentioned last year, but it improved when you're adding big names like that. AFC title race is going to be fun this year, guys, and I think they're going to be right there. Draft wasn't great for them, but the free agency made up for it. Conclusion, I'm high on the Chargers this year. I expect them to get 10-plus wins and make a playoffs, either wild card or win that division. I expect this team to be good. I expect, obviously, the offense to score a ton of points. I expect this offense to be good. Defense will be questioned, but adding J.C. Jackson and Max is only going to be positives. LA Rams, B. They give them a B. Last year, 12-5. NFC West champs and Super Bowl, of course. Strength of schedule, 31st easiest schedule. Obviously, they're going to have a tough schedule, but will it matter? Will it matter? I love the Rams, what they did by getting Bobby Wagner. They did need a linebacker in there, and they get one of the best linebackers. They needed a linebacker, probably the most out of all positions, and it just happened to be, one of the best in the market. Also signing Allen Robinson was good to help the loss of Robert Woods. I like Allen Robinson, just never had a quarterback to play with. Now he will. They did lose a handful of guys. Obviously Woods, Colbert, Von Miller is a loss, and Darius Williams. But they did bring in 2 vets. So I do think that helps there. Draft wasn't relevant due to them not having any picks in the top 100. So I got to give a D for the draft. Conclusion, I'm high again on the Rams. Are they going to get to 12 wins? Maybe not, but they're definitely going to get 10 or 11 wins again. I'm high on this team again. If they can get into if obviously they're going to get into the playoffs, and if they do, they can make a run. That NFC's not deep. It's not a great NFC this year. AFC's better. So they can definitely get back to the Super Bowl. Miami Dolphins. Definitely an A. Last year, 9-8 strength of schedule, 19th easiest this year. When you get one of the best wide receivers in the league, I have to give him high marks. Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was huge get for the Dolphins. Pair him up with Waddle. Wow. Now let's just hope for the Dolphins that Tua can play well, right? That's going to be the question mark. Is Tua the guy? They lost Devontae Parker, but it was time for him to move on. Wasn't able to stay healthy there. They also added Armstead from New Orleans. It's great help for the O-line, and Connor Williams as well. And small splash with Chase Edmonds. I like him from Arizona to help that backfield. No excuses for Tua this year. They got him the offense. They got him the players. Let's see what he can do. Draft wasn't great as they only had 2 picks in the first 6 rounds, guys. Conclusion, Dolphins are kind of going all in here. They are going all in to make the playoffs. I'm high on the Dolphins this year. I expect them to make a push for the division as well. But they'll probably fall short due to the Buffalo Bills just being that good. I'll be betting on Dolphins this year throughout the year. Just hoping Tua can play well. I'll be watching him closely. He will be the question mark. I should definitely see them getting over, again, 9 or 10 wins for the Dolphins this year. Minnesota Vikings, give them about a C. Last year, 8-9. Strength of schedule this year, 16th easiest. A couple good signings. They signed Zadarius Smith with a big contract and Jordan Hicks as well, upgrading their D-line. They did lose Xavier Rhodes. Conklin and Pierce as well. Some noticeable losses there. I just can never back Kirk Cousins. I cannot back him. I don't like him. Not a Cousins guy. I expect this team to be around similar, 8-9 wins. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. If they do, it's going to be a wild card spot. Cook can never stay healthy. Obviously, they have a good offense, guys. We know they can put up points. They're a team total over type of team. But, the defense. The defense is the issue. They didn't really make any changes in the defense. They did make a change in coaching. That might help. But in conclusion, this team's just going to be okay, I think. I think they're going to put up points, bet the team totals over. But I'm not high on them. Could they make the playoffs? Maybe, but it'll be a wild card spot in my opinion. New England, guys. New England. D+. D+ offseason. Last year, 10-7 strength of schedule. 25th easiest. Not going to be an easy one. Not much happened for this team in the offseason. They did add Devontae Parker, which is, I guess, noticeable addition. However, can he stay healthy? They did big loss with J.C. Jackson for that division. They also lost Shaq Mason, and also Ted Carreras were all losses. Draft, typical draft for the Pats, right? Reaches and unknowns, but in the end, they always find a way somehow to win some games. Conclusion, I expect another 9 to 10 wins for this team. They didn't really change much, but, can Jones take a step forward? And maybe Parker could help if he can stay healthy. Not high on the Pats this year, guys. I'll be looking to fade them, especially on the road. But at home, there'll be some good spots for them. New Orleans Saints, B. Last year, 9-8 strength of schedule, 9th easiest. Tons of issues with the Saints last year with the injuries at QB, but found something with Winston, and maybe he can make a step forward. They did add some decent additions on the offense. They also got Tyrann Mathieu at safety. They did lose two safeties though, so I don't know how that's going to pan out for them. They did add Jarvis Landry, which I like. Marcus Williams was a huge loss to the Ravens. They lost Armstead on O-line. Didn't really address the O-line. Draft was solid. Traded up to get Olavi, probably one of the better wideouts. Didn't address the O-line though. Return of Michael Thomas will be interesting. We'll see how that goes. Offense will be able to put up points, right? But how will that defense took a hit in my opinion, and can they keep Winston upright? Conclusion, I expect around another 500 season. I'm expecting 9-10 wins, something around that if the defense can play well. New York Giants, C. Last year, 4-13 strength of schedule. Easiest schedule. Here it is. Easiest schedule is the New York Giants. This Giants team just didn't get any better. Worse, if anything, right? They lost Bradbury. They lost Ingram as noticeables, and not high on anyone they added. The draft was okay, but they failed to address the O-line, which is a big issue. It's going to be another down year for the Giants, in my opinion. They'll probably finish last again in the division with around 4 to 5 wins. Conclusion, I'll be looking to bet against the Giants all year, and the team totals under. One thing to note, like I mentioned, strength of schedule. Easiest. So, 5 wins is something where I would look here. New York Jets, B+. Last year, 4-13 strength of schedule, 27th easiest. That's not good. The Jets added tight end and C.J. Uzomah from the Bengals. They added DJ Reed and Laken Tomlinson. A solid guard. They did lose Morgan Moses, though. So a replacement was needed. Lots of talent on this team over the years of drafting high. Another great draft this year. Some say they drafted the best cornerback and the best running back. Wide receiver and running back in the draft. Wilson is starting this season hurt, though. Keep that in mind. Zach Wilson, is he the guy too, right? They really don't have a quarterback. Flacco will be the starter, which isn't good news, but I expect them to be better. I expect the Jets to be a little better than 4 wins, maybe 5 wins. It's just it's tough, right? It's tough with the Jets to be much better due to that strength of schedule at 27. I can see maybe 5 wins. They continue to get better. Love Sauce Gardner for them. He's going to be a shutdown corner in this league. I just can't get more. Obviously not going to make the playoffs, but this team could be a bet on team in the next year or two. Eagles. A. I give this team an A. Last year, 9-8 strength of schedule. Second easiest. Keep that in mind, guys. Second easiest strength of schedule. I like what the Eagles did this offseason, adding number 1 wide receiver in A.J. Brown. Great wide receiver. I like the guy. Is Hurts the guy, I guess, is the question for this team, right? Is he the guy? They also added Bradbury. They needed help in the secondary, which they did. They also got Hassan Reddick, which could be some help. Key losses, Singletary and Nelson, but nothing big. No big name losses. The additions exceed the losses, which is why I gave this team an AA-. The offense and defense get better, and the draft was solid. They added a guy like Jordan Davis to help that D-line, which this D-line's already good. This is a good D-line. And they also got Dean, and they needed some help in the linebacker, and he was a steal in the 3rd round. He was a steal. Conclusion, I expect this Eagles team to win 10 or 11 games, at least 9, but I expect them to get 10 plus, and I expect them to be battling with Dallas for the division title. I do think this Eagle team got better, and it will come down to Hurts and how good he can be. It's going to be Hurts and a question mark for me. They got weapons around him, but is he the guy? Pittsburgh Steelers, B. I give Pittsburgh Steelers a B. Last year, 9-7 strength of schedule, 29th easiest. Steelers, Didn't make any big name signings unless you think Mitchell Trubisky is, but I don't know, he'll probably lose the job halfway through the season. To Pickett, the draft pick, he has a chance to revise his career. There's a big chance for him. Just don't turn the ball over. They did add Miles Jack, which is a decent signing and already could help that defense, which is good. James Daniels and Levi Wallace from Buffalo. Levi Wallace was from Buffalo, so that was a good signing there. Lost Big Ben to retirement, which is probably not a bad thing at his stage of his career. And obviously Juju Smith was a big loss for this team. The draft was okay. They got a quarterback in Pickett because Willis didn't follow them. Willis would have been better. But we'll see how that pans out and if Pickett can get in this year. Conclusion, I expect the Steelers team to be just okay, and mainly due to the defense. Obviously Harris, one of the better running backs in the league. Similar record, I think, 8 wins, maybe 9 wins, just because that defense is going to be tough at home. It's going to be tough to go into Pittsburgh and get a win, but I can see them taking a step back this year, maybe 8 or 9 wins, something similar. I'll be looking to back them at home, though, especially due to the defense and maybe some unders. I'll be looking at some unders in Steelers games. San Francisco 49ers, C. I give them a C. Last year, 11-6. Strength of schedule, 13th easiest. 49ers didn't do much besides adding Charvarius Ward, who helps the secondary. But they did lose Tomlinson as a guard, Tart and Kwan Williams. Question is Trey Lance or Garoppolo. Is Trey Lance going to be able to make a step forward? I think he's going to start. That's what it looks like. They did get Debo back, which was good news for them. The pass rush will be stellar again, that D-line. They're going to be good just due to their defense. And they do have some pieces, obviously, on offense as well. I see 10-11 again. 10-11 wins. The quarterback's going to be the question there, though. I expect them to be battling for the division and a wild card spot. Should be able to sneak into the playoffs as well. Seattle Seahawks. D for them last year, 7-10 strength of schedule, 22nd easiest. You lose your franchise quarterback. I got to give you a D, guys. I got to give you a D, and you didn't really replace him. So if you lose your franchise QB, you should get a D no matter what, in my opinion. And they lost also Bobby Wagner, right? So D for them. They also lost DJ Reed, who was an impact for them. So they added a few guys, but I like Shelby Harris and Noah Fant, but Drew Lock they added. What's he gonna do, right? What's he gonna do for them? They did bring Metcalf, which was good, but who's gonna get him the ball? In my opinion, I don't like the draft either. Sorry, their draft was decent. It was pretty solid. They got two solid tackles, and I like they did get a much needed running back in Walker. Conclusion. I expect another down year for the Seahawks with maybe 5 or 6 wins. Bet against team for me, and I'll be betting their team totals under throughout the year. Here's a long video for me, guys. This is a long video for me. We're going to be almost done here. A couple more teams, and I'll give you guys some free picks. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, B. Last year, 13-4. Strength of schedule, 7th easiest. Brady comes back. He is having some personal issues. I don't know how much that's going to affect the season, but I think he'll be good to go. He's older now. Something to watch, though. They did add Shaq Mason. I like it. Logan Ryan and Canu Neal. That's solid. But they did lose some guys. Gronk, Alex Kappa, Whitehead, and O.J. Howard. So, noticeables. Also, note, Ryan Jensen, their starting center, who's a beast, out for the year. Big loss for them. They draft was solid, replacing guys they lost, and Hall was their first-round pick. I like him. He's an impact guy right away on the D-line. Conclusion, I don't think they're going to get 13 wins, 11 or 12. They're going to be solid once again. Are they going to make that run to the Super Bowl? And are they? I don't know. That's the question. But the NFC is open. The NFC is open, so they have a chance to do so. I don't see 13 wins, though. I see 11 or 12 this year. So that's something to monitor. And Tom Brady, question mark. I'm not going to question mark, obviously, due to the age, but we know he's really, that 45 is not a normal 45. Over 40. I just see, Brady having a good enough year, and then in the playoffs he just turns it on. But I don't see 13 wins this year for the Buccaneers. Tennessee Titans C+ last year, 12-5 strength of schedule, 21st easiest. The Titans traded away A.J. Brown, their best wide receiver. Couldn't keep him due to the asking price, but I like how they recovered, I guess, with cheaper Robert Woods. It's a downgrade, but it's not a huge downgrade. I like Robert Woods. Also added Austin Hooper, which could be a factor slightly. Key losses, Queensberry and Saffold. The O-line seemed to take a little bit of a hit. And, new wide receiver 1 and new wide receiver 2, along with a new tight end 1. So there's some changes there, some uncertainties. The defense looks to be solid again, didn't change much. Draft was solid getting Malik Willis. Is he going to take over Ryan Tannehill? Possibly. Conclusion, I don't see 12 wins. Adding in, they also lost Landry, their best pass rusher, recently. I just remembered that. That's a hit. I don't see 12 wins. I see maybe 10. I do see a downgrade for this team this year. They're not going to be as good, and their strength of schedule is tough. So I do see, the Titans taking a step back here and maybe not making the playoffs. Washington Commanders D. Last team here. Last year, 7-10. Strength of schedule, 6th easiest. Surprised this team even won 7 last year without a QB. They didn't do much besides adding Carson Wentz, which I don't like Carson Wentz, but it's an upgrade at QB, guys. They did lose Sheriff on the O-line, which is a key loss. Besides Gibson and McAlery, they don't have much to be excited about. The draft wasn't great. They traded down and then missed out on the best wide receiver. They settled with Dotson. We'll see how he works out. I expect another down year for this team. However, they have a few studs on offense that can win them a couple games. Obviously, Chase Young is there. Their defense is okay. But 7 wins, something around maybe 5 to 7 wins. It's tough to call. I don't have any futures on this team. I don't know how this team's going to look with Wentz. That will do it, guys. Wow, that was a long one. I'll leave you guys with a few future bets. If you want all my future bets, sign up and get all my personal plays for the season. We do well in the future market always. Season win total, guys. I like the Colts over 9.5. That's going to be the free play for you guys. I love the Colts this year, adding Matt Ryan. I went over it already. But if for some reason you forgot, 3rd easiest strength of schedule. Their defense and offense should both be in the top 10. They're a very well-rounded team. There's not too many weaknesses on this team, guys. So keep that in mind. If anything, maybe depth at wide receiver and tight end. That's their only concern, in my opinion. But just adding a quarterback like Matt Ryan, they had 9 wins last year, guys, with Wentz. So I like the 9.5 over. That's a free bet for you guys on season win total. Outright market, not too many surprises for you guys. I'm looking at the Bills, of course. The Bills, that NFC's wide open. But I'm going to have some outrights for my clients as well. But I'm looking at the Bills. Obviously, NFC's kind of wide open. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams get there again. Like I mentioned, it's wide open. Obviously, Bucks with Brady. But outright market, I like to add a team during the regular season. Right? Outright market's tough because injuries, etc. But I'll be looking to add someone in the middle of the season as well. Teams that could surprise. Keep this in mind. Dolphins, obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if they make the playoffs. So look out for that. Definitely Denver. Definitely Denver is going to improve from the 7 wins from last year. So look out for Denver to be a bet on team. Also, I'm high on the Chargers this year to make a lot of noise this year, just due to the veterans they added and the depth they added on defense. They needed help on defense, and that's what they did. They added a ton of help on defense, so I'm high on them as well. That will do it, guys. That will do it. Client future bets sent out. I even have an early total for week 1 sent out to my guys. Get on board, sign up, profit long term, and profit for this NFL season. Disciplined handicapping system, which is hard to find, hard to do, but this is how I profit long term, with a disciplined handicapping system. 7 straight profitable NFL seasons. Looking to win some Vegas contests as well, so look out for my updates on that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. It was a long one. I'm tired, mentally tired. Like I always say, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.